A newly married couple, Becky and her husband Dan, are climbing a mountain. They love climbing, even though it's risky. Their adventurous spirit often leads them into dangerous areas. Becky's friend, who also loves taking risks, is with them on this trip. The three of them always seem to find new dangers to face. While climbing, Dan accidentally touches a bird's nest, causing a bird to fly out in alarm. This makes Dan lose his balance, and he ends up hanging from a rope, unable to climb back up. Becky and her friend try hard to save him, but they can't, and Dan falls to his death. A year later, Becky is still mourning Dan's death. She keeps his ashes with her and has started drinking heavily, causing her life to fall apart. Becky's father is very worried about her. After a long time, he invites her best friend, Hunter, who used to climb mountains with Becky and Dan. Hunter visits Becky after a year and suggests they go on another mountain climbing adventure. She believes it will help Becky feel better. Hunter shows Becky a historic 2,000-foot tall tower in the desert and invites her to scatter Dan's ashes there. After much thought, Becky agrees to go with Hunter, hoping it will be fun and help her heal. They enjoy the journey, recording videos on their phones. At one point, a speeding truck nearly hits them, but they manage to stop in time. Relieved, they continue on to their destination. On the way, Hunter sees a dead goat being eaten by birds and takes a photo for Instagram. They finally reach the tower and start recording a video. Initially, they are scared by the tower's height, especially Becky. But Hunter reassures her, and they start climbing after securing themselves with ropes. The old tower is rusted, and the stairs creak. Becky is nervous but keeps climbing. Halfway up, Hunter tells her they've reached 1,000 feet, about the height of the Eiffel Tower. The wind is strong at this height, and Becky feels afraid when she looks down. Hunter jokes by shaking the stairs, which scares Becky even more. They finally reach the top, but a stair nut breaks without them noticing as they celebrate. Hunter takes out her drone camera to record everything. Both friends are happy to be together. Hunter hangs from the tower and asks Becky to take her picture, then convinces Becky to do the same. Despite her fear, Becky hangs from the tower and takes a photo. Hunter hugs Becky, and Becky scatters Dan's ashes into the air. Both feel a bit of peace and start missing Dan. After their mission, they decide to return. The rusted stair breaks, leaving Becky hanging. Hunter manages to pull her up, but Becky's bag, containing their drone camera and food, gets stuck on the tower's antenna. They can't reach it and start to worry. Their phones have no signal at the top of the tower. They find a flare gun in a magnifying glass, but Hunter thinks the flare gun will be useless during the day. Becky notices a cut on her leg and bandages it. They pass the time by completing their vlogs. A few hours later, Hunter spots a car in the distance through the magnifying glass, but they can't call for help. Checking her phone, Hunter sees that her earlier Instagram post got many likes and comments, meaning there was signal access on the ground. She writes a message for help and tries to send it by lowering her phone with a rope to get signal access. It doesn't work, so Hunter decides to throw her phone down, wrapped in her socks and shoes to protect it. Hunter sees a man with a dog on the ground through the magnifying glass. Becky throws her shoe down to get his attention, but he doesn't notice and leaves. Becky is about to fire the flare gun, but Hunter tells her to wait until sunset, hoping someone will rescue them. At night, Becky watches old videos on her phone and notices Hunter looking strangely at her and Dan. Hunter asks Becky to fire the flare gun and uses her phone's flashlight to signal. Two men see them but can't help and end up stealing their car instead. They try to sleep, but Hunter almost falls. Becky saves her and notices a tattoo on Hunter's leg with the number 143, which Dan used to say to mean, "I love you." Becky realizes that Hunter and Dan had a secret relationship. Hunter confesses, and Becky is shocked and hurt. Meanwhile, Becky sees the bag with the drone and water bottle still stuck on the antenna. Hunter decides to get it. She secures herself with ropes and climbs the antenna, but can't reach the bag. She courageously jumps and grabs the antenna, retrieves the bag, and attaches a rope to it with a selfie stick. She climbs back up, but the rope slips, and she falls. Becky is devastated, but when she looks down, she sees Hunter is still alive but injured and unable to climb. Becky uses all her strength to pull Hunter up, saving her. They write a note for help, attach it to the drone, and send it off. Unfortunately, the drone's battery dies, and they have to bring it back. At night, Becky dreams that Hunter has died and birds are eating her body. She wakes up to find it was just a nightmare. In the morning, they charge the drone using a light on the tower, then send it off again with a note. The drone crashes into a car, but they hope someone will find it. Becky's condition worsens, and she asks Hunter for her shoe to throw her phone again, but Hunter stops her. Becky realizes Hunter isn't really there, She died when she fell trying to get the bag. Becky's mind was creating Hunter's presence to cope with being alone. Becky looks down and sees birds eating Hunter's body. She cries and records a final message for her dad, losing hope of survival. The next day, Becky eats a bird to survive, gaining some strength. Her father, worried, starts searching for her. Becky gathers her courage, descends to Hunter's body, and puts her phone in Hunter's shoe with a note. She throws the shoe down, hoping her father will find it. Hours later, Becky's dad arrives near the tower, sees Hunter's body, and believes Becky is dead. Just then, Becky calls out to him. He is relieved to see her alive, and they hug. Finally, Becky's efforts and courage save her. The story ends with Becky's survival and her father's arrival.